Now, before his loss to Kenobi, Sidious told Yoda during their duel that Vader will become more powerful than either of them. This was true. He was destined to overpower every Jedi in the galaxy. Now, the answer to this is Anakin, or rather Vader, after his loss to Obi-Wan, lost over 20% of his total power. How did I get this number? George Lucas in many interviews has said himself that Vader was only at 80% of his full power after Mustafar at his potential, compared to Sidious, which means that he would have been even more powerful than that. Now that's 1/5 of his power gone. Can you imagine what he'd be like at full power? I'm now going to say a quote from the Revenge of the Sith Junior novelization where Sidious on Mustafar walks right up to Anakin and gives us a piece of his thoughts about everything that happened and why Anakin won't be as powerful as before. No, it can't be, but it was. His promising new apprentice, who was to be the greatest Sith who'd ever lived, maimed and burned, perhaps dead. Darth Sidious ground his teeth in frustrated anger. Part of him wanted to turn on his heel and leave what was left of Darth Vader to burn to ashes in the rising lava. Even if he was alive, even if he could be saved, Vader would be crippled. And not just with his mechanical limbs. The Force, dark side as well as light, was generated by living beings, and it took living flesh to manipulate it. Darth Vader would never be able to cast blue force lightning. That required living hands, not metal ones. And with so much of his body replaced by machinery, he would never come close to the potential that he'd had. It was a great pity, Darth Sidious thought, controlling his anger, but perhaps not irreparable. Even diminished, Darth Vader would still be very strong, and there were no Jedi left to challenge him. Darth Sidious had seen to that himself. So he kept walking until he could bend over the body. And to his surprise, his apprentice was still alive. So first off, we gotta think like Sidious would for a moment. He pretty much executed the majority of Jedi in the galaxy with Order 66, and those who he missed were too afraid and outnumbered to come out of hiding. This would make the galaxy much more safe from the Jedi than anything. From his point of view, at least. So from here, a burnt and weaker Anakin was still an extremely powerful Vader. He was the best option from what was around. However, this was the moment that sparked Sidious in looking for a newer, younger, more powerful apprentice. That's why, all throughout the comics, he tries to find new ones or new ways to test Vader. Then, when the son of Skywalker came along, with all of his power and the Skywalker bloodline running through his veins, he was like, yep, he's my next apprentice, 100%. And if he will not be turned, then he will die.